All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Speak to the Beak. I am Tim the Ferds. I'm joined by Keith Hernandez. We're recording on a Sunday as opposed to a Saturday this week, so we got some more baseball content for you. We decided to push it off a day because the NFL draft was obviously consuming everyone's life, including mine. So here we are on a Sunday. So Keith, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Watching all this Sunday baseball, a lot of high-scoring games, a lot of low, close pitching matchups. Been a good day so far.
Yeah. Well, I guess you aren't really watching the Reds game then, because I
Yeah,
would not call that a pitching duel.
that was one of the three games that were, like I said first, high scoring games. That game was crazy. Dodgers had two grand slams in the game today, so a couple high scoring games. It's been a good
Yeah,
day.
you're right. You're right. You're right. So here's what we kind of got today. We got some guys rebounding we're going to talk about. We got some silliness going on in Major League stadiums, with bullpens on the sides, foul territory still, which I've hated for a long time. We're going to get to that. Obviously, we got some fantasy nuggets, and of course, series of the week here. Our fantasy ads, by the way, have been killing it. I told Carson Kelly last week, dude is on fire. He's batting like 390 now. Like, all right, that's unrealistic. And we've been pretty good on those. So,
Yeah.
before we do that, a couple things that we need you to do. Beakbrands.com. Check out the website. Podcast and written content is there. I've noticed the waiver wire column. Ton of clicks. All right, so don't worry. I'll keep feeding you guys for fantasy baseball. Luckily for the people that play in my league, I own all those guys already, so you're more than welcome to read it, but they're not available if you play with me. Number 2, follow Beak Brands on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Right, you can interact with me there. I'm at Tim Ferdinand. You can interact with Keith. He's at Keith Hernandez, 2 Z's. He's got the lowdown on what's happening at Citi Field, so definitely get in there. What else we got? I don't know. I lost that part. Oh, yeah, right. The podcast and the video. Duh. Okay, so if you're, watching the video here, subscribe on YouTube. And if you're an audio guy only, Spotify and Apple Podcasts, feel free to subscribe, rate and review, follow, etc. Share with a friend. We have gotten some requests here for topics, so don't worry. We're going to hit on those as we get to them. So, like I said, we take requests. So if you got a favorite baseball team that we're ignoring, you let us know, we'll take care of you. All right, Keith, but you ready to go? I'm ready to go. You look ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
Let's do it. All right, so let's start with Corey Kluber. Obviously, because we have a big Yankee fan base here. Back-to-back elite starts. I know we talked about 3 weeks ago. You were pretty much ready to leave him for dead, and I was not too far behind you because I thought he just didn't look as sharp. 8 innings today, 10 strikeouts. So, do you think Corey Kluber is back, at least to being like a serviceable to good pitcher?
Yeah, I think he just had to get into the rhythm of, pitching more than one game after, being hurt the last 2-3 years. The last 2 starts he's looked really good, especially today, this afternoon. Everything was working for him. Sinker, changeup, slider. They all look super sharp, like 2016 Kluber without the velocity. I mean, but I think that's just how the year's gonna go for him. Where I don't think he's gonna be sharp like this all year. It's gonna be more of like an up and down kind of thing. Where he'll have like 2-3 starts like this, and then like a blip or two where he's gonna go like 3-4 innings, go up like 5-6 runs.
Yeah.
Whatever his record. I mean, obviously record doesn't matter. He's probably gonna go like 12-10 realistically with like a 4 ERA, maybe 3.8.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 3.5 to 3.8. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're gonna have good days like this, and you're probably gonna have some pretty bad ones like you had at the beginning of the season. But yeah, I mean the Yankees need pitchers like that to come around. I know Domingo Germán, his last 2 starts are pretty good too. But the Yankees' most unhittable pitcher, not named Garrett Cole right now, is Aroldis Chapman. He's been ridiculous this year. And I think the big thing on that was developing that third pitch. He's pretty much perfected that splitter. I just gave that away. He's pretty much perfected that slider the last 2-3 years, but now he's got the splitter going too, and that thing's unhittable. I mean, once you're when you're working just straight fastball and you're working east-west with the slider, like you can kind of guess even with that 15-mile-an-hour difference. But now you're adding the splitter in there with 15 to 20-mile-an-hour difference with that drop in there. It's
You're not
going
gonna
to
hit it.
now.
You're not gonna
hit it.
You just have to sit red and hope you get a fastball you
Exactly.
can hit. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's pretty much what you're doing. I mean, listen, we were talking at the beginning of the year, Yankee Land was like freaking out after like 2 weeks of the season. They're 3 games back of first place. Somehow Boston is still killing people. Don't ask me how they're doing it. Well, I know how they're doing it. I just don't understand how that's happening. Yeah. Yankees are 3 games back. My Blue Jays 2 games back, so we're looking in good shape for my Blue Jay pick there.
Yeah.
I guess we didn't. This was not scheduled, but Garrett Richards, is he back too?
That was his like first good start of the season.
I know. He did pretty good today too. I'm playing against him in fantasy baseball.
He did pitch well today. I think I guess their bullpen blew it because it looks like they gave up 3 in the 8th.
Yeah, they only went 5 innings
Boston
today.
Yeah. Boston gave up 4 runs in the last 2 innings of that game. So
yeah, let me check what his stat
looks
line
like they're about
is.
to take an L. But yeah, I mean Garrett Richards is I guess maybe he needed that one good start against the bad offense like the Mets to start getting going. But staying on the American League East, you mentioned the Blue Jays before, and they just had an amazing series against the struggling Braves team.
Yeah, they did.
So I guess my question is, when is that Braves offense going to wake up?
I mean, Acuna's hitting like crazy. It's just everyone else isn't doing anything.
It's just him.
You know, Ozuna's like turning it around a little bit. Mm-hmm. He started off, he was dreadful the first couple of weeks. He's got, because I have him, so I know how bad he's been. But yeah, no, he's just broken 200. Finally, he's batting 200, 3 home runs, 15 RBIs. Obviously, like that's gonna climb up. Like realistically, he's gonna be like 260 to 275. Mm-hmm. But the other guys, I don't really know. I mean, obviously we're Met fans, so like they can be as bad as long as they want, as long as Marcell Ozuna wakes up. Because I haven't been in fantasy baseball in every league I'm in.
Same thing about Freeman.
Yeah, but well, no, listen, Keith, that's too many people going off at one time. All right. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, eventually the Braves are going to figure it out. I mean, like, there are a lot of guys that were like that beginning of the year that have not done anything, and they're, like, slowly waking up. Like, Charlie Blackmon's, like, 7 for his last 20, so, like, he's getting hot. Conforto learned to hit the ball the other way again, so, like, he's getting hot. So, like, there are a bunch of guys that started off, like, really bad that are now kind of waking up.
So, even if their hitting gets up to where they're supposed to be, like their pitching situation is, I think, maybe more of a problem. The bullpen's been pretty bad. You know, Sean Newcomb, every time he goes out there, he gets rocked. It seems like out of the bullpen. I mean, and past the bullpen, I mean, the starting pitching's been also not great.
Well, they don't have Fried or Soroka.
Yeah,
that's not good for them.
Fried got hit around those starts before he got put on the IL too.
No, I know.
So. You know, it could be one of those things where, you know, you get shelled your first few times out, you get thrown on the IL, kind of clears your mind, and you go out there and you're back to who you were. But Fried and Soroka are like 2 of those guys that like people sometimes call them frauds just based off of like their opponents' like exit velocity numbers.
Yeah.
It's like pure luck sometimes with those guys. It's like I think we talked about this before with the like a 2.5 minute video of Soroka getting outs on balls hitting. Like that were hit over 110 miles an hour.
Yeah, there's being hit right at people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still good though. Like, yeah, I mean, guys make hard contact, but like, his whip is good. Like that's how I normally judge pitchers. They moved Soroka to the 60-day DL, IL, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
He's not coming back anytime soon.
He's not coming back until probably mid-June.
Yeah, let me see. Fried hamstring will return on Wednesday. All right, so I guess we'll have an answer on Fried next time we come to record the podcast next weekend. But talking about injured pitchers here, I guess that's a good transition.
Yeah.
Jesus Luzardo out here breaking his pinky playing video games. So what happened was he pitched on Saturday. He hurt himself Saturday. They let him go out there to pitch after he broke it. They didn't know it was broken. They decide to send him for an MRI and X-ray after the game is over, and they're like, yeah, you got a broken pinky on your throwing hand. Like, yo, who's running this operation? Ray Ramirez? How could you let that happen?
I don't know. That's like, just, you can't let that happen. I don't know how you could do, like, you do those hand tests when you, like, bruise a finger, potentially broke a finger. There's no way he passed. If it was a hairline fracture, there's no way he could have passed any of those tests.
That's what I mean. I know. It's like, first of all, you're a pro athlete. What are you doing slamming your pitching hand because you're mad at playing Xbox? That's number one. Because they're like, oh, he bumped it. You don't break your pinky by bumping it on the end table. Like, that doesn't happen. So he definitely was playing Call of Duty or something, got pissed, and started smashing the hand. All right. So first of all, you're a moron for doing that. And number two, how do you let this guy, like, you only have 3 pitchers on your team that are good. He's one of them. How do you let this guy go out there? Like, he could have done even more damage to his hand. I don't think he did, but he could have because you didn't know what the injury was. That's just so stupid.
Yeah, it really is stupid. And I don't understand how people, like, I guess sometimes people use, like, video games with de-stress. You know, we both do it all the time. But sometimes, like, you get put in that bad streak of losing games, whatever game you're playing, and it just stresses you out even more. So...
trust me, Call of Duty is not a game you want to be playing to de-stress.
Exactly. If he's out here playing Warzone, or you win, like, once a month if you're lucky, like, what is he doing? Like, you're just making yourself more stressed out if you have to go there and start.
I want to know what he was playing. Maybe we should tweet at him and see if he'll answer. We'll DM him on Instagram. What game were you playing, by the way, just so I know never to play that game before a game?
It had to be either he was on an 8-month losing streak on Warzone, or he hit another perfect ball in MLB The Show that went right to the center fielder. That's like the only 2 options right there, I think.
Plot twist, he was playing MLB The Show, simulating his start as him for the day, and he got rocked, and then he went out there and got rocked a second time, but in real life.
Oh my god.
But let's stay with Oakland, alright? So, DJ Stewart, outfielder for the Baltimore Orioles, running into foul territory, smashed his face on the overhang of the bullpen. And I wish I could show video of this, but you can look it up. It's on YouTube. So a couple of things that bother me about this. Number one is why I still don't get how the bullpen is in foul territory. Like, there's just so many things that can go wrong. Like, you could roll your ankle on the mound, right? You have like fake home plates over there. You got guys sitting in chairs. Right, you have the overhang that comes over, like, where the pitchers sit, so they have, like, shade. Like, you could smash your head on that, which he just did. Like, I don't know. How do you feel about, bullpens on the field? I think the only 2 left are there in San Francisco, right?
No, they moved those
them
into the they
okay.
finally moved them, like, a couple of years ago in that big wall out in right field.
Correct. You're right.
But it's terrible. I mean, even in spring training too. All those single A ballparks have those mounds on the side, and it's a safety hazard. Like, every time I see a corner outfielder running over there, especially in spring training, you don't want to see anybody get hurt. It's scary, and also when pitchers are warming up, it's a safety hazard too.
Mm-hmm.
A ball gets laced on the left field line and drills your star closer in the forearm, and he shatters his forearm, and he's out for the year. It's not a good thing. But luckily, Oakland. I've seen the renderings for the proposed new stadium in Oakland. I think for them it's just a matter of getting taxpayer money, which is a whole different thing. I mean, if they prove they can win, I think it's just for them, it's just they don't invest into the team. Like, they don't put money into the team.
No, they don't.
And I mean, that's been a thing for 30 years with that organization. So, it's whatever. But if you're winning, you're winning. That's the thing. But, like, I guess another thing might be attracting fans to the stadium, which you can't. Now that the Raiders are out of that stadium, they can do whatever they want. They should leave. That stadium's a dump.
Hey, why don't you tell me how you really feel, Keith?
There in Tampa, it's like the 2 worst stadiums in the MLB.
Yeah, Tampa's bad.
Yeah, Those are both two teams.
Tampa has a hard time drawing fans, I heard, because you have to like pay the toll or whatever. Oh, there's a mosquito right here. I don't know. You have to pay the toll to like get to where the stadium's at, but there's nothing else there. It's like just the stadium.
It's just the stadium.
Yeah.
Like a little downtown area, and like that's it.
I'd be curious to see if one of those two teams like relocated.
Yeah, I know. Remember, Tampa had that plan to play half of their games in Tampa and then half of their games in Montreal.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
Maybe they could be the Expos.
They could be the Expos. Who knows? Well, that would be cool if Oakland did that and they split time between Oakland and like Vancouver. That's closer.
Yeah, it is closer.
So that's like actually possible. I know. Yeah, I there was a report like last week that Manfred talked about the starting price for an expansion team being like 2.2 billion or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I know like one hotspot for an expansion team is Portland. So I wonder if Tampa would move to Portland or something. That's another thing. I don't know.
Well, you would need two expansion teams, wouldn't you?
If they were gonna expand the league, you would need two teams. So
maybe we'll get the Astros back in the National League where they belong. Like that still bothers me to this day.
Only when that team falls apart, I'll welcome them back in.
That's fine. You can play all these guys' primes out, and then you can come back. Like the last time they were good before they had this group of guys was like Lance Berkman, Carlos Lee. Yeah, like they had Brad Lidge, right? At one point.
Yeah.
Brad Lidge / Billy Wagner. Yeah, they had both of them. Yeah, they had a good team back then.
Yeah, then that was when Albert Pujols broke their hearts.
Correct.
This shattered all their dreams.
Yeah, and then Roy Oswalt was eventually like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to Philly and be like the fourth guy in this rotation over here." But all right, so that's what we got on the Oakland A's. Last kind of topic before we give you some fantasy nuggets here. So everyone thought the NL East was gonna be like one of the better divisions in baseball, like top to bottom. I got bad news for those people, which includes me and you. Not a single team is over 500. And even if the Mets and or Phillies win tonight, they still will not be over 500. So this statement is going to hold true if you're listening to this on Monday. So what do you think that's contributed to? You know, the teams are beating up on each other, or like you said before, Atlanta's not playing well, the Mets aren't really hitting. Like the Phillies are, up and down, Nationals are kind of dinged.
I think it contributes to pitching, both good and bad.
Okay.
The Braves pitching, like I said before, has been getting rocked. So like with that, their pitching getting rocked and their offense not playing well. They're 4 games under 500 now.
Yeah. So
I think they're in dead last in the division. Or sorry, the Marlins are 1 game under them. Who's also their pitching has been playing well too. They're hanging in there with every other team.
So Alcantara and Rogers have been really good for them.
They've been carrying.
Yeah.
If Rogers didn't give up that 3-run homer to Zimmerman in the third inning today, they win that game 1-0.
Yeah.
Because the Nationals almost didn't get another hit besides the couple or 3 or 4 whatever they got in the third inning. So I mean, and then back to the Nationals. Scherzer has been a little consistent. He pitched the complete game today, or 8 innings. I don't know how far he went. And that was a great bounce back start for him after getting absolutely rocked by Toronto.
Mm-hmm. Toronto's been doing that to everybody, though.
They just wallop everybody. I'm so scared when the Mets have to play them. But their pitching for the most part has been hanging on tight. Corbin's had a good bounce back after getting shelled by the Mets, and he's starting to come around. And once Strasburg comes,
he got his first win the other day.
Yeah,
Corbin.
Yeah, so that's a good sign for them. And then the Phillies, Phillies and the Mets are playing each other right now. The Mets bullpen hasn't given up a run in I think 19 innings now. I don't think either of us thought that would ever happen.
No, but they're also not really. I feel like they're not pitching all their guys though. They're just pitching the last like 3 or 4 for the most part. For the most part.
Well, yeah, because Selman's been thrown in there a couple times, and he got hit once, but like that was it. He's been okay.
They're doing a bullpen game tomorrow, aren't they?
I think so because they haven't
Yeah.
announced a starter.
That's going to
Because
be
I
a
wouldn't let
disaster.
I wouldn't let Lucchesi go out there unless if they start Sean Reed Foley and let him go as long as he can go, I'm fine with that. That's one of the guys in the bullpen that I also wanted to touch on from the Mets
Yeah.
side. Like he's a psychopath. I
Yeah,
texted
he
you
is.
this when he
I
came out
know.
against
I love
the
him.
Cubs. He's insane. It's like pretty much he does the same thing like Craig Kimbrell does, and he
Yeah,
just
it's
looks so intimidating.
like the hawk
Um,
looking thing.
hmm and like I guess last note on the Mets bullpen, I am all about Miguel Castro.
He was
I
a
love him
really
now.
good pickup for the Mets.
I remember people saying last year like we just gave up our number 10 prospect for this guy who's never had an ERA like under 4 out of the bullpen. But
He's
his
got
stuff is ridiculous.
Yep.
His stuff is ridiculous, and he finally learned how to control it. Um, so yeah, he's been great. Uh, so I think whoever's offense comes around first in that division
Is going to be the team that goes on a run. Yeah, I agree.
they're gonna run away with everything. So
who do you think, if you had to pick somebody, who do you think it would be? Not even with like with your
Braves.
preseason predictions, you're still on the Braves.
Yeah, I'm still on the Braves because I think they have more guys coming around now than the Mets do.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like the Mets right now have I think 3 guys hitting and one of them just got hurt.
Correct.
So so for those who don't know, it's J.D. Davis, Conforto, and I think Alonso was included in that 3 if I remember correctly. That are hitting. I think their runs created plus was like over 120. They're all hitting over 260. Like this is over the last like 2 weeks. I think.
Not on the season.
Not on the season. So Conforto's last 2 weeks since that like 3 for 25 skid he did to start the season, he's hitting like 290 with like 7 extra base hits and a weighted runs created plus of like a 197. The league average is like 100, I think. So to put that in perspective, like on the season, Acuna has a weighted runs created plus of 199. So he's been right up there with him the last 2 weeks pretty much, which is huge. But I mean, you still got guys. You know, Lindor has been struggling. I saw some things, a lot of articles before the season about him like struggling adjusting to the pitching, and it's been very clear. He looks very very uncomfortable up there, pretty much every time he's playing. So yeah.
The White Sox just put Luis Robert on the IL.
Oh really?
Hip flexor strain, yeah.
That's not good.
He left the game before. Yeah. No, it's not
and
good.
They lost 5-0 today. Giolito got hit hard again. Yeah, that's a big loss for them.
No, I know. Sorry to cut you off. I just figured that was important.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all I gotta say on the match.
Yeah. All right. No, I agree with that. So let's wrap this up here. Quick fantasy nuggets and then series of the week. So here we go. Who's your Randy? That's our fantasy segment. We give you a random ad of the week. I'm gonna go first. Listen, I'm gonna keep pumping this guy until he's owned in 100% of leagues. I write about him every single week, and I brought him up on the podcast at least once, probably 2 times. Lou Trevino. The A's are in first place. He's the closer for a team that wins like 4 games a week, if not more. He's only owned in like 52% of leagues. What are you doing out here? Go add this guy. He doesn't give up any hits, really. He's not a big strikeout guy, but like he'll help your whip and he'll help your saves. Like, I don't understand how many more times I need to say it. I know our audience is not like a national audience, but like, my God. Go add Lou Trevino. I don't there's no other way for me to put it. Like, saves, whip, he plays for the Oakland Athletics. That's all you need to know. Go add Lou Trevino.
Yeah.
Who do you got?
He's a beast. All right. I'm going to stick to hitting again. I think last week I chose a hitter. This week I'm going with another hitter. Nico Horner got called up by the Cubs a couple weeks ago. He's a top prospect. So far, through I think the first 2 weeks, he's hitting 389 with an OPS over 1,000. Dude's got speed. He qualifies for multiple positions, second and shortstop. He's probably going to get the outfielder eligibility in a month or 2. But he's on fire. He's going to hit for power. He has a ton of speed. If you play in a categories leagues, he's hit 3 stolen bases this week. So that's huge.
Keith,
he
is
gets on
there
base, too.
is there a category? Oh, well, I don't know what that was. Is there a
Yeah.
category, Keith, for killing your teammates? Because he'll definitely get you points for that.
No, there isn't. But yeah, he did. He did kill Ian Happ today, which is very scary. I think Ian Happ was the only one who came out of the game. I believe Nico Horner.
Yeah,
was still.
Horner stayed in.
Okay.
Hap got
Okay.
carted off.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's scary.
So I
Yeah.
hope he's okay, because that's not a good.
Yeah,
thing to say.
listen, if he's not okay, then I'm just a jerk. But I think he'll be
Yeah.
all right. But yeah, no, that was a scary collision. But all right, you don't get fantasy points for hurting your teammates. But okay.
Mhm. And yeah, but that lineup's starting to get a little deeper now that Bryant looks as good as he does since he won MVP in 2016.
He looks really good. I know.
Yeah.
I'm mad at myself for not taking a flyer on him in fantasy baseball. He's been so
Yeah.
bad.
He's
But
healthy.
he's
That's the
healthy,
thing.
that's for sure. Last thing. All right, so here we go. We got Lou Trevino and Horner as our, random ads of the week. You could take the first one here, your series of the week, even though I picked
Yeah.
first. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going Mets Cardinals. Huge 4-game series for both teams. Cardinals have a chance to, stay neck and neck with the Brewers for first place. Cardinals are 16-12 right now. Brewers are 17-11. And same thing with the Mets. They got a chance to stay in first place with all those teams sitting at 500. When you're in a division where everyone's sitting around the same record, every game matters this early in the season, because once someone goes on a win streak, they're gonna run away with the division. And you don't want to be the team that lets that lead slip away. So both teams gotta get going, gotta stay in it. Everyone's aces are gonna go this week. DeGrom's pitching on Tuesday, I believe. I think he asked for the extra day. Not quite sure who he's going up against. Kim, the lefty.
Yeah.
Who the Mets hit hard in spring training. I mean, it was spring training.
Yeah,
And the Mets
I
aren't hitting
know.
now. And then Jack Flaherty's going up against to be determined. The Mets haven't said anybody for Thursday yet. But
Okay.
Jack Flaherty's pitching that last game of the series on Thursday.
So you get some firepower there and some pitching
Yeah.
studs. My series of the week, I agree with you, though. Every time the Mets play the Cardinals is pretty much good. Unfortunately for the Mets, it mainly goes in the Cardinals' favor. Yes, I have
Yeah.
PTSD still from that. But my series of the week is Blue Jays A's. If you listen to anything we talked about in the preseason or spring training, I love both of these teams. Blue Jays have been hitting the brakes off everybody. No matter who pitches, they get shelled. Frankie Montas is pitching Monday for the A's. You know how I feel about him. But obviously, we know the A's have been hot. Obviously, like we said, you're not going to see Luzardo win the series because he's on the IL now. But these two lineups can both hit. The pitching is questionable for both teams. So if you're going to stay up to watch, because I believe it's in Oakland. So if you're going to stay up to watch some West Coast games, you're going to want some offense. And these two teams will definitely give it to you.
Yeah. If there's an over, if the over-under set at 0.5 homers for Vladdy Jr. and any
over.
of these games,
Smash
over.
it. Yeah.
Against Mike Fiers on Thursday, over.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see who else is going. Irvin's decent.
He's been
and
pitching
so is,
well,
so is
Irvin.
Bassett, yeah. I would say the same thing for Steven Matz against someone on the A's. I don't really know who's on fire right now for them.
Mark Canna.
Mark Canna.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Mark Canna
And he feasts off lefties too, Canna.
He feasts off lefties.
Yeah.
So if there's if the over unders for homers is set at 0.5, over against Steven Matz, please.
So that's gonna wrap it up for us. Obviously, we'll be back next week. Check out, obviously, our stuff during the week on the website. Like we've said, you can follow at Beak Brands, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm at Tim Ferdinand. He's at Keith Hernandez, 2 Z's. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Share the video. Help us out. You can comment. Obviously, same thing, Apple and Spotify. Help us out. Share with a friend, rate and review, subscribe, follow, etc., etc. During the week, obviously, on Tuesdays, you got Tom and UFC, if you're into that. We'll also have more post-draft coverage. And obviously, if you're listening to the podcast and you're a big hockey guy, me and Joe Wilson got you covered. NHL playoffs starting within the next 13 days or so, depending on when you listen to this. So it could be less than that. All right, so we got you covered. And that's pretty much all we got. So, Keith,
Yeah.
I'll see you around, and
Yes,
we
sir.
will talk to the people next week.
Let's go.
All right.